The Western Conference Finals begin tonight on Wednesday. Mavericks, Timberwolves, Game 1, 8:30 Eastern on TNT. I'm going to break this game down. I'm going to let you know where the early sharp money is on both the side and total, and also dig into the player props. Complete series preview for the Western Conference Finals, along with some free winners for you coming up here in this video in just a moment. Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV, and we're breaking down the Western Conference Finals. A little bit of a surprise matchup, as we have, what is this, the 2 and 4, actually no, the 3 and 4 seeds. Denver leapfrogged Minnesota at the end of the season to finish 2. Minnesota finished 3, but they get home court advantage because Dallas finished 4th. But the Mavs are playing really well since the trade deadline. We'll talk about that in a moment. Minnesota's been the most efficient defensive team in the league this year. Defense wins championships. So not a surprise that we have these two teams in the Western Conference Finals. And I don't think it was a surprise that number 1 seed Oklahoma City fell short, as they were a young and inexperienced team. But that was also the knock on Minnesota, their youth and inexperience. And I guess it didn't matter, although they were down 20 in Game 7 on the road. Was it Minnesota coming back, or was it just Denver falling apart? Yes, I'm a little bit hostile because we had a play on Denver. I recommended them here in this video Sunday. And when they were up by 15 at the half, up 20 in the second half, I felt like we had the right side. But Minnesota won 3 of the 4 on the road at Denver. Very impressive, knocking off the defending world champs. By the way, a little side note here. Could that be the end of the Nuggets dynasty? Jokic is still a great player, but when teams lose like that, you know, especially blowing a 20-point lead at home in Game 7, I feel it often lingers and carries over. It's almost foreshadowing, a little bit of an indication that something might not be right. I would say out of the gate, if you fade the Nuggets next year, overall, you will have a winning record ATS. I think the Nuggets will be a below 500 ATS team next year. We'll go back and check it at the end of the season a year from now, but let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on that? We'll get to Mavericks T-Wolves here in a second, but I wanted to bring that up because we're not talking Nuggets anymore. They're out. They're playing golf. They've gone fishing, as NBA on TNT would say. But I want to get your thoughts as the viewers here. Could that be the sell sign for the Nuggets next season? Do they need to make some changes? You know, a lot of people said they built the Timberwolves as a team to beat the Nuggets, and obviously it turned out that way, especially when they let them play physical as they did on the road in 3 of those 4 games. But comment below. I read all the comments. I'll reply back. I think that could maybe be the play against sign for the Nuggets in years to come. Let me know your thoughts as well. Let's learn and earn and win together here on WagerTalk TV. All right, let's get to this Game 1 preview. As I mentioned, the Timberwolves, the most efficient defensive team in the league. Their defensive rating down a little bit since the All-Star break. But let's talk about the rating since the All-Star break. The biggest change in the league were the Dallas Mavericks, and it wasn't a coincidence. They made a huge trade, 2 big trades. On February 8th, they brought in Gafford and P.J. Washington. P.J. Washington was fantastic, by the way, in that last series against the Thunder. Multiple 20-point games, hitting threes. But the other thing that really jumps out if you dig deeper has been how much better defensively the Mavericks have been. And we saw almost all those games in that Thunder series stay under for the most part. And it's not a coincidence. Their defensive rating is definitely better since the All-Star break. Now, they played 3 games with the new players right before the All-Star break, but just for back-testing simplicity, we could look at the first 55 games before and then also look at the 27 games after the break. It's just an easy metric to use. And league games were lower scoring in general after the break. And I got my cheat sheet numbers here right for me. First of all, since February 10th, when they first started playing before the All-Star break, that includes 3 games, with Gafford and Washington in the lineup, Mavericks 21-9 straight up. But that's a little misleading because they didn't really play hard the final 2 games of the season. So the first 28 games with Gafford and Washington before those 2 season finale games, it didn't matter. They were 21-7 straight up and against the spread. That's how much better Dallas was with them, and they were 18-10 to the under. If we dig deeper into the actual player production numbers, Daniel Gafford on and off the court. Now, once again, a lot of these games was because he wasn't in the lineup yet. Same with P.J. Washington, and obviously they were playing better with them. But still, they were 2/5 of that starting lineup once they got them. Per 48-minute basis, the games were about 6 points lower scoring. They were about 6 points better net versus just 1.5 without him. This is with Gafford on off the court. Defensively, about 4% of effective field goal percentage better with him on the court. And plus minus about 5 points better defensively. About 1 point weaker offensively. So once again, Gafford's made a huge difference on defense. But P.J. Washington, although we're talking about his 20-plus point games and his 3-point shooting, Washington has also made a big difference defensively. In fact, with him on the court, they're 8 points better versus net neutral otherwise without him all season. That's pretty substantial. Offensively, they're about half a point better with them, so once again kind of neutral, but 7 points better defensively. So substantially better with Gafford and Washington on the court defensively, pretty neutral offensively, and that's why they've been an under team. They've been winning more, they've been covering more. So it's something to keep in mind here in this Minnesota series. T-Wolves have been the most efficient defense in the league this season, but I put a little bit of an asterisk next to that. We saw what Denver did in those middle 3 games. Said we weren't talking Nuggets anymore. I guess we're talking them one more time here. Denver, of course, was down 0-2. They won the next 3 games straight, shooting 54% or better in 3 straight games. So, once again, all this talk about Minnesota being such a great defensive team, I feel like Denver did expose that a bit. They did clamp down, though, on them in Games 6 and 7, holding them to 30 and 41%. Rudy Gobert, the Defensive Player of the Year, was schooled by Jokic at times. He should have a better series here against a smaller Dallas squad that doesn't really have a huge big man like Jokic. With that said, let's look at the total in this game. I want to talk about the total first, and then we'll get to the side. The sharp money, I told you I'd let you know where the early professional money is. Well, it's on the over in this game. And I know I just talked about all the numbers about how Dallas is better defensively, this and that, but this is a substantial drop in the total because the last series was so low scoring. In fact, we saw this open 206.5. It is already up to 207.5. Circa in Las Vegas, a sharp book, is up to 208 already. So the early sharp money has been on the over in this game. The public is on the over. They're on the over almost every game. Public is also leaning towards Minnesota as the home favorite, by the way, as far as the public sentiment. But the total is interesting because now if you look at all regular season games using plus-minus opponents played, I come out to a real total of about 221. That's obviously vastly higher than this game. However, the pace of play in the playoffs has been about 7%, anywhere from 5 to 7% based on which team you look at. The pace has been about 5 to 7% slower. Let's use the extreme, say 7%, and Dallas has obviously been a much slower paced team, better defensive team as well. 221, if you take 93% of that, comes out to 205.5. So that's almost exactly where they opened this line. But once again, that would be the extreme over adjustment, slower pace, better Dallas defense. So 221 would be your full season number. If you factor in the extreme, much better defense recently, you get to 205.5. They opened at 206.5. Sharp money has bet it up to 207.5, even 208. So once again, early sharp money is on the over. As far as the regular season, they played 4 times, twice in December, twice in January. Pretty meaningless as far as our backtesting research because the trade once again took place on February 8th for Washington and Gafford. So they were not in the lineup. Dallas was a different team, a weaker team. And then to make it even more irrelevant, Kyrie Irving did not play in 3 of the 4 regular season matchups. Doncic and Irving did not play in 2 of the 4. However, there was one game in which they both played, Doncic and Irving. That was January 7th. And that just happened, lo and behold, to be the only game Dallas won. They won that game 115-108, landed 223. My rescore came out to 238. Once again, if we take 93% of that, it'd be about 221. So the rescore is a lot higher than this current total, but Gafford and Washington weren't in the lineup yet. They're much better defensively with them. So once again, kind of have to put an asterisk next to everything. I do find it interesting, though, that third meeting, the only one with both Doncic and Irving playing together, is the only one that they won against Minnesota. Because let's back up to the last series. Remember OKC? Oklahoma City was 3-1 in the regular season, but the one matchup in which Dallas beat the Thunder was that February matchup with both Doncic and Irving. And oh, by the way, it was also the first game after the trade in which both Gafford and Washington were in the lineup as well. They won by over 30 points. They lost the other 3 to OKC shorthanded without Irving most of the time. So eerily similar to how this plays out. So could that be a good sign for Dallas? Perhaps. The early sharp money is actually on Minnesota, though. This opened 3.5. It's now up to 4, even 4.5, starting to show as we check the WagerTalk live odds screen. So once again, early sharp money is on Minnesota. Now, if we use all games this season with opponents played and margin of victory, a flat rating without home court would be Minnesota -4. Home court's worth about 2. Minnesota's might be a little stronger, let's say 2 to 3, so it'd be about a 6 to 7 point line. So I do think that's one of the reasons we've seen the early sharp money come in on Minnesota. But once again, Dallas is better than their overall seasonal numbers. So the net neutral of 4 could be bumped down to 2 or 1. That gets the line then up to 4 or 5. So right now it's gone from 3.5 to 4, 4.5. That's probably where it should be if you use the more recent numbers with Dallas as a better team. So very interesting handicap here. Once again, the 4 regular season matchups, we can't dig into them too much. because this was not the current Mavericks lineup. Now, for Minnesota, they did not make any changes all year. They've been the #1 defensive efficiency team all year, so they're a pretty clean handicap. But once again, Mavericks are definitely better than their overall numbers. I know many of you are doing your own handicapping out there. You're doing your own analysis. That's why I try to provide as much information and insight in these videos. And I want to let you know, don't read too much into those 4 regular season meetings because, first of all, Irving didn't play in 3 of the 4. Washington and Gafford weren't on the team yet. But it is interesting that the one game in which Doncic and Irving played together was the one win that Dallas had. By the way, Minnesota won the other games by 18, 8, and easily by, 34 points. So they did blow them out, and they had 18-point leads or more in those other 3. But once again, Kyrie Irving did not play in any of them. Gafford and Washington weren't on the team yet. So interesting to look at the back test here. We saw the same thing in the OKC series. And keep in mind, the Thunder won Game 1 easily, but they were well rested. Dallas had played 6 against the Clippers. Dallas is actually a little bit more rested because they closed out on Saturday. Yes, they have to travel, but Minnesota had to travel back from the thin air and altitude after playing Game 7 on Sunday. And my colleague, Ralph Michaels, WagerTalk.com, Stat Daddy, Human Database, father of Jeff, he had an interesting point earlier this year. I think we were doing a baseball show, but he said it applies to all sports. Teams in all leagues after playing in Colorado in the thin air and altitude are a play-against situation. It works playing against teams that played the Broncos in the NFL. I think we were talking baseball at the time. Playing against the Rockies works when they come back from Colorado from Coors Field. And it also plays in the NBA after playing in Denver against the Nuggets. So I know this is a different series, but that thin air and altitude in the Game 7 could definitely linger for Minnesota here in Game 1. Something to keep an eye on Wednesday night. All right, that game's at 8:30 Eastern on TNT. Let's dig in some player props for you. Before we do so, quick reminder, if you're finding these videos useful, do me a quick favor, thumbs up like. Half a second, click that thumbs up like right now. Boom, done it. Thank you. That keeps the content, honestly, keeps it free and plentiful here. The thumbs up like. I know it only takes half a second, but it goes a long way here. We really do appreciate the support. Comment below. Once again, I read all the comments and I reply back. Let me know your thoughts on this series. Who's your prediction to win the series? The series price right now is Minnesota about -180. Take back +160 on Dallas. Should be a very competitive series. Who do you like? T-Wolves -180, Mavericks +160. Comment below, and you have bragging rights a couple weeks from now if you get it right. Subscribe. 153,000 subscribers. Can't be wrong. Join them. Make sure you've subscribed. And hit the bell as well. Click that bell if you want an instant alert when this video goes live every day. Because, yes, I've done every playoff game every day this postseason, and I will continue to do so as long as you find it useful. We get enough thumbs up, likes, and comments below. I will keep doing these videos every day. And hit that bell for an instant alert so you never miss when it goes live each morning. I also do free baseball plays throughout the week. Free baseball videos. So click the bell for instant alerts so you get the free play videos as well. Hey, speaking of free plays, I post a free play on my page every day at WagerTalk.com. Lots of free baseball plays this time of year. In fact, they're games that are just a bit outside from making the cut. I put 1 or 2 client best bets up in baseball each day, and the game that just misses the cut is the free play. So, my client best bets are usually 4% strong best bets. Those free plays are still worth a 1 to 2% wager. So the free plays have done very well. They've made money over the years, and it's a great way to build your bankroll and get ready for the football season. Go check out the Wednesday free play on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And while you're there, check out my daily best bets for NBA and MLB, including this Game 1 recommendation. If you want to try to save, the direct subscriptions are the way to go. It keeps more money in your bankroll and lets you earn and learn while you go every day because the plays are emailed to you directly with analysis. And we have a very special offer right now. Get the rest of May for free when you buy June. This is all sports, all access. So you'll get the rest of the NBA season. Finals go to about the 3rd week of June. So you go in right now, you're getting the rest of the NBA season, but you're also getting baseball every day. And that's important because baseball is the bread and butter. We have one NBA playoff game at most the rest of the season each day. We usually have a play, but sometimes we don't. But baseball, we have 1 to 2 plays a day. That is your moneymaker for the next several months. That's how you build your bankroll before football begins. And if you want to get the rest of this month free, sign up right now because every day that you wait is one less day you're getting for free. It's buy June, get the rest of May free. It's a very simple concept. It works out to less than $6 a day. That's less than about $2 to $3 a play for the rest of the NBA season and the next month plus of my baseball best bets. By June, you get the rest of May free. So whether you sign up today, tomorrow, or the day after, you're getting the rest of the month free. So why delay? Get on board right now and get Wednesday night included. Baseball and basketball best bets. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. No promo code needed for that offer. By June, get the rest of May free. Get there quicker, though, with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. On the way out here, let's look at some player props. Now, once again, can't really rely too much on the regular season matchups. The 4 matchups took place in December and January before the February 8th trade that brought in P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford. P.J. Washington obviously has been a fascinating guy to look and watch, as he's just been tearing it up here in the playoffs, especially from three-point range at times. In fact, so far in the 12 playoff games, he is averaging 14.5 points a game, but he's shooting almost 41% from three-point range. So he's a guy to keep an eye on here in Game 1. His total's at 12.5. Now, he did have just 9 and 10 points in Games 5 and 6 against OKC, and one of the reasons, as we talked about here in the video, is because they started to focus on him more. That could be the case once again, and who was the guy that picked up the slack? Well, you know who it was, because I recommended Derrick Jones Jr. a few times, and boy, did he deliver. He had 17, 19, and 22 in the final 3 games of that OKC series, and of course, he was 1 for 10 shooting in Game 3 and had only 3 points. And that's one of the reasons I recommended him in Game 4 is because he took enough shot attempts. He just wasn't hitting them. I'm 1 for 10. An NBA player is going to shoot better than that normally. He got 17 in Game 4, and then I thought they would have to start focusing more on Washington. They have to focus on Irvin and Doncic. So Jones became the 4th guy, which is very tough to stop a 4th guy, and he had 19 and 22 after that. So could that be the case again? Maybe. I'm sure Jones Jr. is going to be on the radar more, though, for the T-Wolves. And once again, Minnesota is a very good defensive team. But I do think some Dallas player props over Jones or Washington. One of them probably gets there because it's hard to take that 4th guy out. So if they key on one, the other one gets there. So you could play both Jones Jr. and Washington over their point totals. At worst, you probably go 1-1. So I would look for that. And we'll obviously take a deeper dive into Game 2 after we see how Game 1 plays out. I said I can't rely too much on the regular season meeting, but once again, that game on January 7th is the only one in which Irvin and Doncic were in the lineup. It's the only one Dallas won. So I do want to look at that box score a little bit. Jones Jr., 12 points, but he took 12 field goal attempts, which will normally, he was only 1 for 6 from 3, but he still had 12 points. So I do like him over another reason there as well. Obviously, P.J. Washington was not in the lineup. Gafford was not either, so that could take away some of those shot attempts for Jones Jr. Once again, that January 7th meeting, the only one in which Doncic and Irving both played together, and they were dominant. They had 69 points. They took 53 of the 95 field goal attempts. Kyrie did not play in the other 3 games. He had 35 in this one, did not play in the other 3. He obviously did not really get many points in the Oklahoma City matchup, so I'd be hesitant on him until we see otherwise. Doncic is a guy I'm not looking to bet against at any level. It'd be over or pass with the superstar. He had 34 in that earlier season meeting, but just 8 assists, 6 rebounds. He did not get a double-double, but he's obviously live to get one here in this game. As far as Minnesota, their big 3, big 4 played in every game this season. But once again, Dallas was a different team, and Dallas was a weaker defensive team in those games. But we'll look at this January 7th matchup again, in which Dallas won. Gobert, 4 for 9, 9 points. Jaden McDaniels, 1 for 10, only 2 points. So McDaniels had 10 field goal attempts, 0 for 5 from 3, and he only got 2 points in the game. He could be worth a look here at 10.5, over 10.5. He had monster games against Denver to close out the series. In fact, he got up to 10 points or more in 4 of the previous 5 games. He had 21 and 23 in games as 6 and 7. So Jaden McDaniels could be worth a look. He did not shoot well in the earlier meeting this year in that one game where everyone played. But once again, 10 field goal attempts is probably enough to get McDaniels over 10.5 if it happens again. Karl Anthony Towns, Cat, was 8 for 16, 24 points. Edwards, 14 for 27, 36 points. Edwards obviously took a ton of shots. In fact, he took 27 of their 94 field goal attempts back on January 7th. Once again, just like Doncic, I'm not looking to bet against superstars, so it's over or pass for me with Edwards, especially at home in a Game 1. But the real X factor, once again, for this series is having Gafford and Washington now on the Mavs, because they didn't play the 4 regular season meetings, and they are a much better defensive team with them. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this Game 1. Let me know your thoughts on the series. Once again, T-Wolves minus 180, Dallas plus 160. Who do you got? Comment below. I read all the comments and I reply back. Thumbs up, like. If you haven't done it yet, please give it a thumbs up, like. Keeps the content free and plentiful. Subscribe and click that bell for instant alerts. You know when my free play videos go up every day, including baseball and this daily NBA playoff video. And don't forget, if you want my official best bets, now's a great time to become an All Sports client, because if you sign up now, you get June. You sign up now for June, you get the rest of May for free. That's up to over a week of free action for you. You can do it today, you can do it next week. It doesn't matter. You can get the rest of May free, but why delay? Why miss 6 or 7 more days for free? Get June now and get the rest of this month, including Wednesday night strong baseball and basketball best bets for free. Buy June, get May free. Works out to less than $6 a day if you sign up now. That's about $2 to $3 a play. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And oh yeah, check out a daily free play while you're there on my page each and every day. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there quicker. WT.buzz/SM. Follow me on Twitter and X at Steve Merril. 2 R's, 1 L at Steve Merril on Twitter X. You can also follow me along with Wager Talk on Instagram on IG. And stay tuned here to Wager Talk TV for more great baseball and basketball previews coming up next. Also, I'll be on Wager Talk today, noon Eastern on Wednesday. The baseball show live at 2 Eastern. Be sure to check me out on both of those shows. You can interact live in the chat, and you can watch them also 24/7. And once again, comment below on YouTube. As I read the comments, I reply back on all the shows that I do. Thanks for watching. Best of luck, and I'll talk to you again soon here on Wager Talk TV.